Hi there, Mr. Luke here. Welcome to the Bertrand School of Music Instrument Fundamentals series. The goal of this program is to give you a reference point when you're not in front of your teachers and you just need a little bit of a refresher on how to take care of the instrument. These instruments are not toys and require great care when you're handling them. In this series, we will be covering instrument assembly, making your first sound, and how to clean the instrument when you're all done. Please enjoy the series. And now, the instrument fundamentals for violin. We're going to begin by actually taking the instrument out of the case and just showing you what's inside the case. So it's really important when you first have your instrument that you put the case on a flat surface. You never want to have it on your lap or anything like that because if you open it up and it's not sitting down on a flat surface, the parts could just fly right out. So most cases are designed so that there's two sides. There's one that has the latch or the handle and then another side that will just be the part that actually opens up. So you want to make sure that the part with the handle is towards the table or the ground, whatever flat surface. So you can just undo the different latches there, and then let's just go ahead and open up and just see what we have inside. Okay. So this main right part right here is the violin. We have our bow tucked safely away, and it is also loose while it's in the case. That's important. We'll cover that a little bit later. And then in this compartment, the secret compartment, we have our rosin right here. So we'll get to using that a little bit later. Alright, so now let's go ahead and just take out the instrument. We'll go over how to put our shoulder rest on and just how to hold it. We're going to go over some of the parts of the instrument now. So to get it out of the case, just be very careful when you lift it up. Use both hands to get it out of the case. Now up here at the top, this curved part of the wood right here, this is called the scroll. Okay. These different knobs right here are called the pegs. Now this is what is mainly used to tune the instrument. So for right now, since we're just at the beginning stages, don't really touch these. Your teacher will be sure to make sure they're in tune every time. Now the instrument is kind of set up just like the human body almost. So if this was the head or the face, this right here, this is called the neck. Right here. These are the shoulders of the violin. Okay. You have the ribs right here. Now, on top of the neck, there is a little black part that you'll see goes down the neck and then extends over kind of what would be the belly of the human. So this is called the fingerboard, and they call it that because our fingers are actually going to press down on that board to change the sound of the strings. And these right here, of course, are the strings. Now the strings are held up by this little wooden part right here. Now this is called the bridge, and it's not glued down at all. So the only thing that's holding the bridge on is actually the tension from the strings pushing it down. So if it gets loose or anything like that, don't worry, you didn't break your instrument, but make sure that you have your teacher reset it for you because it needs to be in a certain spot. And if you look inside the violin, it's going to be hard to show on the camera, but if you look inside the violin, there should be a little rod holding up the violin providing support. This is called the sound post, so make sure you can look inside the violin and see that in there. If it's not there, you must get it in there because it's very important. This part right here is called the tailpiece. Okay. We have the chin rest and then the end button. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and place our shoulder rest on. Now it's very important just to be comfortable while you're playing to have a shoulder rest. So if you don't have one, you can get them here in the store. They're available on our website. And just be sure that you get the right shoulder rest for your violin because violins will come in many different sizes all the way from 1/32 to full size. This happens to be a full-size violin, so I'm using a full-size shoulder rest. Now if you take a look at the shoulder rest, you're going to see kind of a groove part in the bottom, a kind of sunken in part. You want to place that right underneath the chin rest, right under this. Okay, so you'll notice it should kind of match up like that. If you have it this way, it won't be as comfortable, so just make sure that that sunken part is underneath the chin rest. What you can do is just flip open the legs so that they're facing up, and then you're just going to slide the shoulder rest so it's in position. If you have any trouble with this, just ask your teacher to help you out. It can be a little tricky at the very beginning to see that you have it in the right spot, so we're just going to leave it just like that. Now take a look at this end button that we were talking about right now. What I want you to do is put that kind of in the side of your neck. You can kind of think if I were like a Frankenstein monster and I had a bolt coming out of my neck. I want you to put it in that general spot. So we're going to go ahead and just tuck it in right here. Now they call this a chin rest, but I want you to think of this as more of a top shoulder rest, because if it were a chin rest, we'd kind of want to wear it like a tie over here. But that's not how we're going to do it. We're going to tuck it in more on the side so that it's pointing kind of with your arm just across to the side. So once you have it in this position, we're going to go over just a little bit about plucking. So you can just hold it by your shoulder, and then just tuck in that end button right there. Alright, so now let's go over a little bit of how to pluck the instrument. Let's begin with some plucking now. So we talked about how to put the instrument into playing position. So just remember, tuck that end button in right at the side of your neck. And we're just going to hold the shoulder with your left hand for right now. Okay. Now, to make a plucking sound, what you're going to do is you're going to make a C with your right hand, just kind of like this. Now, take your thumb and you're going to anchor it right at the very edge of the fingerboard right here. So just so you can have something to anchor against. Okay. Now, you're going to take your top finger now, your pointer finger, and you're just going to use that to pluck the different strings. So see if you can reach over to all of the different strings and just get each one to sound. Okay. So now to change the sound, what we're going to do is we're going to use our right hand, the one that was holding the shoulder, and we're just going to slide it back towards the scroll, down the neck. Okay. Now you can put your first finger, you have different tapes on your violin, and these are just the general place that you're going to put your fingers while you're plucking the instrument to change the notes. So the more fingers that you have on, the higher the sound is going to be. Now notice that my wrist isn't like this, so doesn't have a curve like this, because it's going to be very important when we get into later stages that it has a nice curve, natural curve like this down your arm, because when we want to play up here higher on the fingerboard, if our wrist is like this, we're not going to be able to move there. So always be playing with a curved wrist, and your teachers are going to tell you this all the time. So go and see if you can experiment with just changing some of the notes, moving up the fingerboard just with plucking. So we're going to go ahead and just play an open string, and now just place your first finger on that first tape right there and hear how it changes the sound. Good. So if you're getting that, that's perfect. You'll be playing plucking probably for the first couple of weeks while you play, and then we'll move on to the bow. Now, a couple problems that you might be having with plucking. If you're not pressing down hard enough on the fingerboard, you're going to kind of get like a whistling sound. It won't be the correct sound. So this is just with not much pressure on the string. It's kind of muted. So make sure you're pressing down hard. You should be able to see a little bit of the string indentation on your finger until you develop some calluses. So go ahead and just try and just see if you can add some more fingers. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the bow.